A denial of service, or DOS attack, is an attack that tries to prevent access to a service for legitimate users by overwhelming the network or server. Think about how you normally get on a website. Most major websites are capable of serving millions of users. But for this example, imagine you have a website that could only serve 10 users. If someone was performing a denial of service attack, they would just take up all 10 of those spots, and legitimate users would have been denied the service because there's no more room for them. Now apply that to a website like Google or Facebook. DOS attacks try to take up those resources of a service and prevent real users from accessing it. Not a pretty picture. The ping of death, or POD, is a pretty simple example of a DOS attack. It works by sending a malformed ping to a computer. The ping would be larger in size than what the Internet Protocol was made to handle, so it results in a buffer overflow. This can cause the system to crash and potentially allow the execution of malicious code. Another example is a ping flood, which sends tons of ping packets to a system. More specifically, it sends ICMP echo requests, since a ping expects an equal number of ICMP echo replies. If a computer can't keep up with this, then it's prone to being overwhelmed and taken down. Not cool, ping flood. Not cool. Similar to a ping flood is a SYN flood. Remember that to make a TCP connection, a client sends a SYN packet to a server it wants to connect to. Next, the server sends back a SYN ACK message. Then the client sends an ACK message. In a SYN flood, the server is being bombarded with these SYN packets. The server is sending back SYN ACK packets, but the attacker is not sending ACK messages. This means that the connection stays open and is taking up the server's resources. Other users will be unable to connect to the server, which is a big problem. Since the TCP connection is half open, we also refer to SYN floods as half-open attacks. Sounds messy, right? It is. The DOS attacks we've learned about so far only use a single machine to carry out an attack. But what if attackers could utilize multiple machines? A much scarier scenario. They'd be able to take down services in greater volumes and even quicker rates. Even scarier, attackers can absolutely do that. A DOS attack using multiple systems is called a distributed denial of service attack, or DDoS. DDoS attacks need a large volume of systems to carry out an attack, and they're usually helped by botnet attackers. In that scenario, they can gain access to large volumes of machines to perform an attack. In October of 2016, a DDoS attack occurred when the DNS service provider Dyn was the target of a DDoS. Fake DNS lookup requests, along with SYN floods that botnets were performing, overloaded their system. Dyn handled the DNS for major websites like Reddit, GitHub, Twitter, etc. So once it went down, it also took down its customers, making those services inaccessible. Don't get between people and their Reddit threads or Twitter feeds. I know from experience, it's not pretty.